channel. Today we're doing a new video, which is going to be a book review. This year my goal has been to read 20 books, and ever since I got a Kindle, I'm very close to achieving it. Now it is nearing the end of May, and I've read 18 books so far, which is honestly insane, not even halfway through the year. But this video, I'm going to be taking y'all along the ride of a few of the books I've read that are pretty memorable, and I wanted to share my reviews with them and, probably get y'all into reading. So let's go. Anyways, so in December, y'all, I was scrolling on Pinterest and I was like, what is this? And I saw people had Kindles and like they were taking cute pictures of them, they were reading them, and I was like, I want one. Like, cause I know my grandma had a Kindle and I saw it one time like in this old house she used to live in, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. But I never really understood the gravity of how freaking cool it is. So I wanted to give y'all a Kindle tour. So this is my Kindle. I got this case from TikTok Shop. This is like the basic Kindle you can get, the cheapest one. Y'all, this is so small. Like, this is my face and this is my Kindle. Obviously matching a lot of the bows I have, even my tattoo. I have an obsession. But anyways, this is my Kindle, and on the back it is clear, and I have pictures of me and my boyfriend when we went to the zoo, and then when we went to the mall together and we took some cute pictures. But anyways, so this Kindle is, with me everywhere. I have a purse and it's not fitting in there, but I'm gonna get a new purse so I can put this in there. Right now, as of right now, this is what I'm currently reading, A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I have barely gotten into it, but I've been reading physical books and I'm not currently reading on my Kindle, but for a good part of the beginning of the year, I have been reading on my Kindle, so I'm gonna take y'all through what I read on my Kindle. So I can give y'all a tour, actually. Let me wake her up. Okay, so this is what you're gonna see when you open your Kindle. Obviously, I was reading a book I totally forgot about because I just switched off for a moment, because I've been buying books and I was like, okay, if I am buying these books, I'm gonna read these books. So I canceled my subscription as right now, so I don't know what's gonna let me do. What my Kindle's gonna let me do if I don't have my subscription right now. I think it's just not gonna let me like download more books. But you can see the page number down here, and you can also see the percentage of how much you've read. You can also click it so it can disappear. And then it can show how much time, because it kind of guesstimates. It says 9 minutes left on the chapter. The Kindle can guesstimate like how much time you spend reading on each page, so it can give you like pretty accurate time. Also, if you continue to click, it can tell you how much time you have left on the book as well, instead of just the chapter. And it says I have 8 hours and 45 minutes. Y'all, I totally forgot I was reading this book. Oops. Guess I'll have to revisit it. Also in this case, it comes with like this extension part where you can put your hand back there and create like this. I know people are like physical books are better, this and that. Honestly, I love both just as much. I feel like with the Kindle, you kind of get that satisfaction of being on technology, because like you want to be on your phone, but like you're on your Kindle and you're like clicking away. Like this kind of gives like me that feel for like technology. Like, oh, I need to be like scrolling or something. Like I'm just clicking and clicking on here. So that's why I was able to read so many books, because I was consistently reading on my Kindle. So the first book I wanted to take y'all through was what I read in January. I think it was the 6th book that I read in January, which is Women Down by Colleen Hoover. I know Colleen Hoover is kind of a questionable author. I know people have her opinions about her, but a lot of, like a good chunk of my library is down there is Colleen Hoover, because that's what I first got into. And I've loved the way her books were written. It was just an easy read. Like, you don't really have to think hard as to fantasy books by like Sarah J. Maas. You have to set up that fantasy world in your head. But with Colleen Hoover books, I mean, it's current times. You get the lingo, you get what she's saying. I know she's a very questionable person, but I know she's been controversial, but I really wanted to read her new book, Women Down, and I don't want to give any spoilers during this video, but the premise of that book, I don't have a physical copy, I obviously read it on my Kindle, but the premise of that physical book was this author, she needed to get away. She just had a movie adaptation that failed, so now she's going to a cabin in the woods. I know. She's going to a cabin and she's going to write her next book, and she's there to write her next book. And her friends saying like, oh my gosh, you like need to calm down, like you need to focus on the book. Don't worry about that movie adaptation you did. She had no control over that moody movie adaptation. She had no control over that movie adaptation. Kind of the writers and like the director took charge with it, and she didn't really have a say in it. So that's why it ended up that way. I don't know if Colleen Hoover was saying, hey guys, like, I had no part in it, like, vicariously through the book. But regardless, this book took a really weird turn. You meet this officer and he's asking her questions about something that happened the other night, and their relationship continues to grow throughout the series. So you find out her secrets and you find out his secrets, and it's very interesting. It's always somewhere in the woods that's just like, okay guys, like, what are we doing? The spice level of this book was, I would say, like, I say 3.5 out of 5 stars spice level, but with the book overall, I would probably give it 3 stars. All right, moving on. What I read in February. This book was called The Gray Seer. I also read this on my Kindle. The Gray Seer was written by Kim Liggett, if I'm pronouncing that right. I have a list of like all the books I read on my notebook. I need to write the one I just finished though. But Kim Liggett, she wrote this book. This book is a mix of Hunger Games mixed with, I mean, Divergent and The 100. You kind of get these girls who, they're living in this village and these women are silenced. They are not allowed to speak, like, about the Gray Seer. The Gray Seer is basically a year of the girls' lives where they are all taken out to the woods. Yeah. And you basically know that in the story, the Gray Seer, none of the other women that experienced that in the village are allowed to talk about it, but these girls that are like 14, 15, 16, around this age, are sent out into the woods. And they have a whole initiation with it. So it's really strange. This book is not for people that can hardly stomach tough things. There's another word for it. There's a few trigger warnings in this book, but I read this book and it was really refreshing because you don't really get those kind of plots anymore. You kind of just get the average romance, like the average Hallmark movie kind of book. But this book, I was itching for something that was dystopian, something that was out of this world, something that was not normal for our society, and I got all I needed from that book. So basically, the Gray Seer, these girls are sent out, and these like soldiers or guys are walking them to this place, and they don't speak about this place. None of the women in the village, like, this girl's, you're taken through the main character's point of view, and this girl's mom does not talk about it. Like, no one talks about it. That's like their silence. They cannot talk about it. But these girls are taken to this village. They are there for a whole year, the Gray Seer. And you are taken through this character's time in this camp with all these other girls and how these girls adapted to that society that they created within the camp. So it's kind of interesting what happens. I say this is really refreshing. If you want to read a book that's just kind of like, you know, like, okay, like, this is different, this is weird, but I kind of like it. That's how it was for me. I really liked the book. I really enjoyed it, but I think the overall rating I gave it was like a 4.5. I really like this book. The way it was written was so easy to read, and like the main character, she actually has common sense. Like, she's not one of those characters who are like, ooh, I'm scared, like, let a boy save me. No, this book is predominantly like women driven, feminism, you get all of it. So I really like the book. If you really like Hunger Games and all the dystopian stuff, I really recommend to read this book because I was just loving it. I don't think I put it down ever. I think I finished that book in 2 days. But okay, next book. I'm just picking from this list and going, y'all. I'm not really like scripting off of anything except for, you know, maybe the quotes are read, but anything like that. Okay, so oh my gosh. Okay, this book, y'all, it is called That's Not My Name by Megan Lally. Lally is Lally. This book, oh my gosh. Okay, oh my gosh. It was really good. It was one of those books where you read and you're just like, I'm never gonna forget about it. I always think about this book, and I know, like, I watch like book talkers and book YouTubers, and they say like, oh, I don't forget about that book. I now understand that feeling because it was a mix of like horror and thriller, I would say. Not anything crazy, but there is a mystery within the book about this girl. And from the get-go, you can tell that she's been kidnapped and she's with this man. And she doesn't have any of her memory. So that's what's interesting about it. She had such a bad, you know, like, what's the word for it? She had such a bad interaction, I guess, with a car. She was found in a ditch and she was just walking around. Police pulled over and he was like, hey, who are you? And she was like, I can't even tell you. So you're taken through the police finding her, and then, you know, then she's trying to like remember, and then this guy comes in and he's like, that's my daughter. And he knows everything about her. He has pictures, he has all her information, and they're like, okay, guess that's your dad. But obviously, kidnapping situation. I feel like you can tell that from the get-go. So you're taken through her point of view, but this is also a dual POV, which means there's 2 points of views within the book. And this kid, so this kid is finding his girlfriend. Everyone is blaming him in the town for her missing because he was the last one to be with her that night. And throughout the book, you kind of find her memory resurfacing and her relationship with this kidnapper, and also his story and, you know, what happened that night and why the girl was missing. So you're taken through those point of views. This plot twist was insane. I was like, I like jaw dropped. I was like, and I think I was reading the plot twist when like I was in my stat class, because usually I brought my Kindle in because I also read this book on my Kindle. I would be reading, and like while I was waiting for class to start, I'd be reading on my Kindle. And y'all, the plot twist hit me while I was in that class and everyone was like sitting down. I was like, and I had my jaw open for a good bit. So I don't know if anybody saw me because there was like 200 people in that class. But crazy book. I think that's one of my 5-star books. It was genuinely like jaw dropping. What the frick? What the heck? I don't know if it was predictable, but I didn't expect the plot twist that came. Anyways, 5 stars to that book. Moving on. Okay. So I read another book on my Kindle. It's called Greek Row by Finley Myers. This book, it is obviously about sororities. It is a murder mystery, and you're taken through, you know, the mystery of these 2 girls that went missing. And this girl is coming to the University of, I think it was made-up university, but it was kind of like the same as Alabama, with more sorority life, located in Alabama, but it wasn't the University of Alabama. It was a different school, but you are taken through this main character who wants to study criminology and psychology and all that, and she is like, okay, I need to get into the school, because she got accepted to the school, but you obviously have to get accepted to like the school that you're studying at. Like for me, I got accepted to the University of South Carolina, but then I got accepted to the CIC school, so the College of Information Communications. So it's basically 2 steps to acceptance. So she got accepted in it, but then she had to get accepted within the criminology building, and like, I think there's another word for it, but you know, all the murder mystery stuff, the murder mystery school. So she's like, okay, I need to find out what happened to these 2 girls so I can get accepted and so I can like help people out. So basically you are taken through her story and her recruitment, because she's getting within the sorority so she can find out more, because those 2 girls who went missing were in the sorority. That's what we know at the beginning of the book. That's what we know from the get-go. So you're taken through her recruitment, her rushing and all that, and like her life within the sorority and the secrets within. This is a new author. I found her on TikTok, and like she was like, okay, read my book, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a chance. I don't know much about sorority life. I wasn't in that. I never really dabbled in that within college. I know a few people in sororities, but not like the main majority of, you know, the lingo and like the parties. I didn't know any of that. But this book, you were kind of like dipping your toes within like what it could be, what your life could be in it, but not to the crazy extent where it's like murder mystery, kind of just like the average rushing stuff. So I think I give this book maybe a 3.5 rating. It was really good. The plot twist was nice. It was an easy read, but it was pretty much predictable. I think you could tell that from the get-go. I did enjoy this book. It was really cute. The cover's cute too. I mean, it was pink and had a gun on the front, but I like the pink covers. So, pretty good book by Finley Myers. Okay, moving on to Just Friends. So, this YouTuber and author, her name's Haley Pham, and she's married to Ryan Trahan. I used to watch her videos. Like, she wouldn't do book videos. She, like, transitioned to that about maybe, like, 4 years ago. And I read this book, this copy. This is the sprayed edges. This was the new release in Target. So I kind of been watching her book videos and got inspired by like her reading and also her friend. But when I heard she was coming out with this, I was like, guys, I need to read this. And then also I saw on her Instagram that she was doing a tour, and she was doing a book tour going to different Barnes & Nobles and different bookstores and talking about this book. And I happened to see it was in Austin, Texas. My brother and his wife live in Austin, Texas. So I was like, guys, can y'all go for me? Can y'all go for me? So they did, and they ended up FaceTiming me. And I watched the whole thing through FaceTime. It was so cool. I was like in my bed. I was just like, I really like her. I know people had like mixed opinions about her book, but I think it was just like a great way to start a book. You know, like it's a really cute cover. You got to jump in somewhere. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect. I know people complained about her using big words, but I like using big words because they make me feel smarter. But I really, really like this book. It was just cute. It was just like, there was cute little things that like put it together. I feel like with romance books nowadays, you have to find ways to make it more unique. And I mean, you can obviously tell like this letter, this coffee, the seashell, and the seagull, or the blue-footed, what is it? The blue-footed seagull? Blue-footed booby. That's what it is. Okay. There are things you have to insert in these romance books to make them memorable, and I feel like she did a good job at that, because now you read a romance and it's just like, oh, small town, he works in construction, or he's owning, you know, the Christmas farm down there, or the farm. But with this book, I remember certain aspects because it was just like kind of weird niche things, and you're like, oh shoot, like that makes you remember the book. So my brother and his wife, they went to Barnes & Noble, and they were obviously on FaceTime with me while she was talking about her book, which is so cool. But they hung up and they were going to give me a signed copy. So people started storming the lines for the signed copies. So my brother and his wife were like, oh my gosh, like I don't think we're going to be able to get one for her. But they went to the front of the store where people just normally check out for books, and they had the signed copies up there. So I got a signed copy. My brother and his wife bought 3 signed copies. She kept one for herself so she can read the book. But then she gave me 2. So I gave one to my friend who also enjoyed the book as well. But y'all, oh my gosh. This is my first signed copy book, and I think it's so cool that it's by a YouTuber I used to watch when I was younger. And then this is her recent release. I'm fangirling about it. I was for a while. I was like posting on my like Snapchat story, like, guys, like, oh my gosh, like I got a signed copy, or I was like on FaceTime while they were talking. I thought it was cool. You can call me silly for all I care. But the premise of this book, going into it, it is about a girl, and she is struggling. There's obviously triggers and warnings in here with like death, and also, sorry, that was like really bleak. Death with loss. And yeah, so basically in this book, you are taken with with the main character, Blair. And so Blair, she is coming back to the town of Seabrook, where her aunt and her mother are, and they have a really close relationship. They live together because her mom had like been dealing with hardship. So her aunt Lottie was like, hey, y'all can live with me, like, come on, what's up? So Blair is coming back to the town because her Aunt Lottie is going through a lot of health problems, and she's like, hey, let me be here for you. Let me stop my job for a second. Let me come and, you know, be with my family. I mean, who wouldn't? So you are taken through the story of Blair and Declan. Declan and Blair have a past. They went to high school with each other. They have a history of dating back then, but now it's the future, and it's 5 years later, and Blair walks into a coffee shop and XYZ. So y'all can tell where the story is going from there, but I think this was a memorable romance. You don't really get that nowadays. You kind of just get like the 1-2 enemies to lovers kind of thing, and it's just not memorable. But I think this one, I remember it from the Silly Cuckoo Clocks. If you know, you know. But pretty good book. I cannot wait to read her next read. I know she's working on it right now, so I will be getting that as soon as it comes out. Okay, the next book I read was Letters to Heaven by Riley Benson, or Beeson. This book I read on my Kindle. It was also a new author. I was like scrolling on TikTok, and she was like, hey, like I wrote a book, like I'm a new author. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, let me read this book. So this book is religious based. It's like the journey of the main character going through her relationship with God, and how she is finding the Lord, and how she lost the Lord. So at the beginning of the book, you can kind of tell that she lost her grandmother, and her grandma were really tight-knitted, really close. They had a really close relationship. And, you know, she loses her grandmother due to time just taking her away. So the main character is going through a lot of grief, and then she's asking God, why? Why her? Why am I going through this? Why does this happen to good people? And she is really debating on if, you know, it is the Lord is real or not. Obviously, this book is, you know, different than the others because I feel like you don't really get more religious based books, and I kind of liked it. It was kind of refreshing because, you know, things are getting bad nowadays, and sometimes we need a little bit of the Lord. So I really liked it because this is taking you through, obviously, the letters to heaven. There's a mailbox between her grandma's house and this mysterious person. She is getting these letters from this mailbox because she discovers that she wrote something in it, and then she's getting letters back, and she's like, oh my gosh, this is God. But that's not the case. Anyways, you are taken through her journey with the Christ, with these mysterious letters that are showing up in the mailbox, and with the loss of her grandma and all these memories that she is now resurfacing because of all this loss. And I feel like nowadays, obviously when kids experience loss when they're younger, it takes them a turn. It takes a toll on their life because it's not something like children can get used to, and she's obviously like 16, 17. So there are changes in her lifestyle, like her homework and her, you know, emotions, and how it is taking a toll on her daily life. And I feel like that book was the main thing that was like, you know, like, hey, like, this happens to people still, okay? The world keeps on spinning, yeah, but like, it takes a toll on people, especially with loss. So if you are feeling like you need a little bit of the Lord, I feel like you need to read this book and be like, as a reminder, there are scriptures in it, there are powerful pieces in it, but I think the plot, I love the Christianity part, but I think the plot could have used a bit more. I know it was like mainly about her grandma and her loss, and it talked a lot about it in the book, and it was kind of like repetitive. Obviously, when you're losing somebody, you're kind of like, okay, like, you want to talk about all these things, but within a book, I feel like there could have been more aspects thrown in there, probably more about her life and maybe her school life, but it mainly focused on her grandmother. But I think the book was good overall. I think I give it a 3.5 rating. I feel like I'm within the threes because, like, I haven't really read a book that's like that bad to where I'm like, okay, 2, 1. No, not there yet. Anyways, I'm going to take y'all onto the last book that I want to share with y'all, and that I can remember because I'm going over like the most memorable books that I've read this year. Sorry if I'm like doing like a lot of grammatical errors. I just like talk too fast. My mind thinks way quicker than my mouth does. So, where is it? All right, the last book that I wanted to talk to y'all about was Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This is the cover, and they have the sprayed edges with the hearts because I got this back in February around Valentine's Day, and I didn't read it for like 2 months. But that's always the case with my physical books. I also always download books on my Kindle, and they stay there, and I read like a few pages, and I'm like, but then I go back to them, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is good. So I feel like you need to give a chance on books. Kind of read 10 pages. I feel like 1 and 2 is not enough, but take yourself to the 10 pages, see where it goes, and if it doesn't go anywhere, oh well. This book was your average romance. This kind of relationship between, you know, this is enemies to lovers, your average romance. It was like a full circle moment, but it's very predictable. I predicted it, and if I predicted it, bro, I would say this is a solid 3. This book was written very well. It was taken through a small town, you know, small town romances. It was a Hallmark movie. The author literally talked about Hallmark movies at the end of the book, and she's like, okay, like, hold on, let me see if I can go to it. It literally says behind the book, and it says, I love Hallmark movies. So if you love Hallmark movies, I would suggest to read this book. She says, I love the quaint settings. I love the excessive number of sweaters and high-knee boots. I love the aspirational level of commitment to a seasonal decor in every home. Yeah? They can see you. Anyways, girl, stop messing with my bed. Wait, when do you want to go?
Right now.
Let me finish this YouTube video. Alright guys, so this book was your average Hallmark movie. Everything was tied in a neat little bow, but I don't think I will remember this book in 2 weeks. It was okay. I think the cover's really cute, and it'd be nice to have on your library because it's blue and pink right there on the back. But the main preface of this book is enemies to lovers. you are taken through the relationship with Nora Steffens and this editor named Charlie Lastra. I think that's how you say it. Every time I read the books, I'm like, I try to pronounce it in my head, but it never sounds right. And then I hear someone else say it, and I'm like, okay. It's small town romance, y'all, between editor and another book lover. I think she's not an editor, she's a manager for. It's just a lot of books involved. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. I'm thinking about that Starbucks order now. But I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I know it's out of my average content, but I wanted to bring something new to the surface and to start posting a bit more because y'all have been watching my videos, and my last video was my move out vlog, which is, I think it has like 300 something views now, which for YouTube, that's a huge thing. You don't get those kind of views. I mean, you get those kind of views on Instagram and Snapchat, I guess, but you don't get this kind of views on freaking YouTube. So thank y'all so much for watching my stuff, for commenting, for even liking, for subscribing. It means so much to me. This has just been a passion project of mine, and the fact that it's still coming to life and people continue to support me, it means so much to me. So thank y'all so much. I did add some things to my room. I added a lamp and a few things, but maybe I can show y'all in the next vlog. So thank y'all so much for watching this video. Maybe I inspired you to read or check out a Kindle and maybe buy one. Is that too far? I convinced two of my friends to buy Kindles, my friend Athena and my friend Emily, and they've been loving it since. And I'm trying to read more books than them this year, so hopefully I can grab my Starbucks with my brother and read a good bit of this, because y'all, I've not made a dent. I've only read one book this month because I've honestly been snacking. No, I've been slacking because it went finals, move out, working, coming home late, not enough time to read. So I really need to get on my reading grind. Next month, I'm going to read 5 books. I'm just joking. I don't know. But if you're more interested in more book content, please let me know. Be like, Aaliyah, do more books, read more, do more stuff. Because then if y'all tell me that, I'm going to be reading book to book to book, so I can give y'all more of these videos. But thank y'all so much for watching. I'll see you on the next vlog. Bye!